I sat out across the day room. There's a gun tower up above with a guard who's got a Mini 14 rifle, always watching the day room to make sure nothing jumps off. On one side of the day room is the whites and Hispanic side, and on the other side of the day room is where the blacks take their tables. And I walked across the room that day with the full awareness that there's a man with a gun just a few yards away from me, overwatching. And I walked across the day room with purpose because I was on a mission. And as I walked up to my target, I didn't say a word. I just started blasting with my fists, pummeling him over and over again. He got knocked out of the chair. There was blood everywhere. The people not involved quickly got up and walked away and left me just there to beat this man. And as the blood splattered and as I felt bones crushing, I hoped that the guard would see so he would stop it. I wanted it to stop, but I couldn't stop it because I knew if I stopped, that my side of the day room that sent me would have a problem with me. So today, in today's podcast, we're going to talk about living on purpose. Because through that evil purpose, I learned how to find the light. I learned how to change my whole entire life. Spending 90 days in solitary confinement after that will either drive a man crazy or teach you to find yourself, your true self. So today we're going to talk about finding your true self and your purpose. Hey, I'm Matt Skinner, and this is Building a Four-Dimensional Man. Today we're going to talk about living with purpose, because before you can do anything else, before you can really become anything else, you have to figure out what your purpose is. What's your mission in life? And there's people that live with evil missions, evil purposes, terrorists, ISIS, criminals, gangsters. There's people that live with positive missions, people that have a purpose to change the world for the better. And we're going to talk about that because it's not that we're born with one thing or another. It's all choices. We have a choice to decide how we're going to live, what our purpose is, what our mission is. And so I want to talk to you guys today about how I discovered what my purpose was, what my mission was, because I was in a very evil place. I was 19 years old when I got sent to prison. I got sent to prison for a series of fighting in high school. I got arrested a couple times. The next thing you know, they had to pick me up enough times that eventually the judge said, "You're going to prison." It was shocking, terrifying, scary. I thought my life was over. And I wound up on a level 3 yard, which is a high security, maximum security prison yard. And there's prison politics, and it's really tribal. When you get into prison lifestyle, I mean, it really takes all of societal norms and just strips them all away, straight back to like caveman tribe days. They've got their own set of rules, their own regulations, their own laws, their own gangs and cliques and tribes. And being 19 years old in that environment is pretty crazy, pretty scary. I mean, my cellmate was a guy doing life for murder. He was never going to get out of prison. And here I am, got a couple of years. You know, I didn't grow up in a gang-banging neighborhood. I grew up in a white suburban neighborhood. I didn't know about gangs and gang signs and all these things that were going on inside of the prison lifestyle. But I adapted really quick. And I decided to be a soldier because I wanted respect. I wanted my ego to be inflated. In fact, in hindsight, I look back and say, I chose to go to prison because I decided that I wanted to be the baddest motherfucker in my neighborhood. Well, I discovered that they make places for people that want to be the baddest motherfucker in their neighborhood. And so I went there. Not consciously, but subconsciously. I chose that path. So I did some pretty horrific things while I was in prison to build my self-esteem, to build my own ego, to build my reputation. A lot of it is fear-based. Like, I'm going to attack, I'm going to be a predator before I become prey. Because as a 19-year-old white boy in prison, it's a scary spot to be in. So I became that predator, did a lot of work, as they call it, putting in work. I was a young thug, shaved head, tattooed. I've had thousands and thousands of dollars of laser surgery. And so I volunteered. I raised my hand to make that hit on that guy that day. And I put the work in. And when the gun tower guy finally sounded the alarms and shot the rounds into the wall to make everybody get down on the floor, I got sentenced to a 90 days in solitary confinement. They call it the S.H.U, Secured Housing Unit. So I go to the S.H.U. This is like where Manson is, the Menendez brothers are. Like, this is where all the real gangsters are from La M.A., Aryan Brotherhood, Black Guerrilla Family. Like, these are all the prison gangs that run shit on the prison yards. Drugs, prostitution, anything you want on a prison yard, these guys run the show. So I'm in solitary confinement. I'm sitting in a little 5x9 cell. And part of me is feeling very proud because I just put in some work and I know that I'm going to get big props on the yard, big respect. And the other side of me, the heart side of me, is feeling pain for this man that I just assaulted because I didn't know him. And the reality is every one of us there were just feeling alone. I was alone in a cell. I was alone on that prison yard. He was alone on that prison yard. And through my actions and through my violence, I created separation. I singled him out. Separated him, separated myself, which is the opposite of love. Separation, I think, is what humans fear most. It's the ultimate torture. So I was sentenced to 90 days in this solitary confinement cell, 5x9. I've got a little 3-inch window slit in the back of the wall. I can get some sunlight. And one of the rules inside of the S.H.U, Secured Housing Unit, is that the guards can bring you some of your books. 2 books. And so I asked the guard, put it in a request. He went to my property and got my books. And my dad had mailed me a book called 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, which at the time when I got it, I was like, fucking Dad, I don't need self-help. Send me a self-help. I got this figured out, right? This kid, stupid kid in prison doing stupid shit. And I'm mad at my dad because he's sending me a book that he thinks can help me. I mean, that's how fucked up I was at the time. So egotistical. I thought I knew everything. The other book that was sent was a book on meditation and yoga. I don't know who sent that to me. I don't know how I got it. I don't know who put it in my property. Still to this day, I think one of the guards intentionally gave it to me. But I got 7 habits and this book on meditation. And that's what I get to, that's my full entertainment, 24/7 a day. Push-ups, jumping jacks, and these 2 books. And that's what I get to do in solitary confinement. So under duress, I begin to read these books. And first of all, I want to say, at that point in my life, I read about meditation and I'm like, oh, meditation's for like, hippie pussies. These guys that just like long hair and, smelly from some other country, whatever they are. Like, that was not for me. Like, I am not doing yoga and I am not going to meditate because that's pussy stuff. But when you have nothing else to do, I read the book. And the first thing I learned from those books, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, has a chapter in there about taking full responsibility. And it says everything that you have up until this point in your life is your fault. It's your responsibility. You are where you are because you created that for yourself. And that's a hard pill to swallow, especially when you're 19 years old and already washed up in, not just in prison. I'm in prison inside of a prison. I'm not even good enough to walk the yard because I'm such a fucking threat. So to own that shit was really difficult. But the liberation that comes from owning everything in your life, taking full responsibility. I'm here because I chose this. I'm here because at some point in my life, I chose to be the baddest motherfucker in my town, and I became that. I manifested that. This is the first time I recognized what manifestation was. When you put your attention on your intentions, you begin to manifest things into your life. I've done that with real estate. I've done that with business. I've done that in relationships. But it works the other way too. What you think about, you'll create for yourself. Once I took ownership of all the shit that I created in my life, then I was able to get free. Inside of a prison, I got free because I owned all my shit. I took full responsibility for why I was there. And that enabled me, that liberated me to know that I could create anything that I wanted in my life from that point forward. And you can't create anything you want in your own life unless you take full responsibility and own that you created everything prior, because you can't have it both ways. You can't be the victim and the creator. You can only be one or the other. So I owned my shit. I decided what I wanted to become. I decided right there I wanted to be a real estate developer. And I spent the next 90 days creating a business plan and a map and how I was going to get there. And like, I had really nothing to do. So I was busy writing a business plan, which I fully executed when I paroled, 100%. But inside of this time, the other side of this equation was this other book on meditation and yoga. And I'm going to tell you, this 90 days in solitary confinement will either make you completely insane, and some guys do go insane. They go nuts. They go mad. Banging on walls, cutting themselves, hanging themselves. I learned to love myself there. And I'm going to say that was the absolute best experience of my life. Because I got to sit there alone with no distraction, get clear on what I wanted to create in my life. And meditation taught me to quiet this monkey mind that we have, this chatter that goes on inside of our brain. And when we're able to silence our thoughts, even for a moment, then we begin to hear the true voice that comes from our heart. The true voice in your heart is from your Creator. And if you listen, you can hear some things that are pretty profound. Most of all, your purpose and your mission. So I would literally sit, and it didn't start this way. I would sit and I'd meditate for a minute. I'd try it. And then I'd sit for 3 minutes or 5 minutes. And honestly, I have no idea how long it was because I didn't have a clock. I'm in a room by myself with 2 books and a pillow and a sheet, and that's it. But I got to a point where I was just sitting and meditating for literally probably an hour and a half, 2 hours, quieting the mind, practicing Zen. I didn't know what that was at the time. I just read this book and said, try it. How can you connect to your purpose? How do you connect to other people? And the way to do that is to quiet your mind so you can connect with your heart. And that was a powerful, powerful experience. The truth is, I wish all men could have solitude like that. I think every man could learn from that. Especially at that age in my life. 19 years old, I got time to just sit and think about what I wanted, what I want to create. Who am I? Why the fuck am I here? What's my purpose? What's my mission? So inside of that 90-day experience, I wrote a mission statement. I wrote a business plan, and I meditated for hours every day. I did yoga every day. I did some push-ups and some jumping jacks as well. Like, you do anything to just kill the time. Like, it's pretty fucking miserable. Nothing more torturous than boredom. So I'm going to share with you my mission statement that I wrote there. I still have it. I still kept it for today. And I want to teach you how to meditate. The mission statement that I wrote inside of the prison, inside of the prison. The purpose of my life is to learn all that I can and to love all that I can. Learn to love, love to learn. Teaching is the greatest expression of love. I am a builder and never a destroyer. I improve all things that I can influence and leave people and things better than how I found them. I'm a servant of God, my family, my country, and I make a difference in people's lives by the way that I live mine. I'm a seeker of experience, wisdom, and understanding. They're all tools to be a better servant, more to offer as a teacher. And by example, I will lead. It is my responsibility to act with integrity, justice, and courage every day of my life. I wrote that in a prison cell after just beating a man close to death. It changed everything for me because this didn't come from my brain. This didn't come from thoughts. This came from my heart. I had to discover who I was, who I wanted to be. What man did I want to build in order to create something like this? And the only way that I could connect like that was through the meditation process, to sit quiet the mind and listen to the heart. There's different kinds of meditation that we have. We've got guided meditation, which is probably the most prevalent, what most people think of when they think of meditation. It's literally where you would sit quietly, usually in a lotus position, which is just having your feet crossed, straight back, hands on your knees. Sit just like that, get comfortable. And guided meditation would have somebody, a guru, a leader, some kind of person would lead you through a mental path, basically implanting certain visual ideas in your mind's eye. It'd be somebody creating certain visual effects on your own mind's eye. So it takes you through a journey in your mind. You can download certain apps that have certain pre-planned guided meditations that will walk you through certain things to achieve certain things in your mind. But guided meditation is kind of like training wheels for inside of the meditation space. It's kind of what you do to get started. And then there's mindful meditation, where you can sit and focus on one thing. I'm going to focus on creating this in my life. I'm going to focus on my relationship. I'm going to focus on God. And the Bible talks about meditating on the scripture, meditating on the word. And that's mindful meditation, purpose-centered. But the Zen Buddhists have something called Zazen meditation, which is true meditation, which is getting to bliss, ascension, nirvana. And only monks in caves somewhere in these foreign lands that I've never been to yet achieve this nirvana. But I'm going to tell you, a young man in a prison cell, California, transformed that 5x9 block of concrete into his cave and became a monk to find his own nirvana. And the way you practice Zazen meditation is to focus on your breath. Breath is your life force, after all. It's the first thing you do when you're born is take a deep breath in, and it's the last thing you'll do when you die is let that last breath out. But as long as you keep breathing, it's your life force. And so we begin to focus on our breath inside of this meditation, breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out, like a mantra, like a rhythm. And as thoughts begin to pop up into your mind, you just pop them like little bubbles that you'd see in a comic book, quieting the mind, sweeping them aside, recognizing that they're there, but dusting them off the shelf so that they're not your focus. I'm not listening to you, brain. I'm listening to a higher power, listening to my heart. And this is not easy to do. You get uncomfortable, your body gets stiff, and you have all these things. A fly lands on you, you hear a loud noise, and everything is an attempt to distract you, but that's the point. That is the point, is to sit in quietness and remove all distractions. So I encourage all of you guys to begin the meditation practice. It's so important. It's going to change everything in your game. And if you want to start with guided meditation, there's a lot of great ones, a lot of great apps out there that you can download, and somebody will walk you through guided meditation. I've done events, and we'll do more events where I lead men in guided meditation, walk you through a certain series or process to get you where you want to go. But the true meditation, taking the training wheels off, where you're able to just quiet your mind and get still, is powerful. So I'd encourage you just to try it each day. 2 minutes. Start with 2 minutes. And you don't need to meditate for an hour and a half. You don't need to meditate for hours like I did inside of my monk's cave. But you can, and you might get addicted to it because it's powerful. But the one thing I want you to take away from this is not just to practice this habit. We talk about micro habits inside of building the four-dimensional man a lot. It's not just building the habit of meditation, but it's what you get from meditation. It's downloading your purpose, getting connected with your heart, finding out and discovering, like, what are you supposed to do? Where are you supposed to go? And when you find your purpose, there's nothing more empowering than that. Because a man without purpose is just a pawn in another man's game. If you don't know what your purpose is, you don't know where you're going, you're just going to bounce around. You're going to be an effect in the universe, not a cause. You're going to do what other people tell you to do. You're going to march to somebody else's drum instead of your own. I mean, I can go on and on with these cliches, but the reality is, like, you'll just be a pawn in someone else's game in this life. But when you get clear on your purpose and your mission, know why you're here and what you're here to do, man, the world, the universe conspires to get you there. Meditate, get clear, design the man that you want to become, and I'm going to help you build it. This is Building the Four-Dimensional Man.